I'm going to explain to you the fastest ways to level up in World of Warcraft Dragonflight. So in this expansion, there's a few different ways to level up. First off, there are main story quests, and these are designated with not just the quest icon, but a shield icon behind that quest icon. And you'll need to do those in order to unlock all the side quests as you go as well and to progress through the zone. So those are almost like a requirement to do. But if you only do those main story quests, then you'll hit a point where you'll actually be too low level to continue progressing. And so then you won't be able to go to the next zones. So there is something you have to do. You have to at least do side quests or something else. And so generally the way that it seems to be working for Dragonflight is it's kind of more like the Burning Crusade, where this time around they actually did do a good job with quest progression. So if you want to just do questing, it is going to be about the fastest way. There is a kind of another thing you can do. There are other options, which we'll talk about in just a second. But when it comes to the questing, the generic way of leveling, it's pretty much the fastest way, other than one potential gold sync way we'll talk about later. But if you do it, like I said, it actually, in this expansion, they did a good job of, you go to one place, you do the main story quest, and then it leads back, and then you have like 4 quests, you do them all, you come back, you go to the next part, and it actually works correctly. Unlike recently, if any of you played Wrath Classic, Wrath was horrible, where it was like, you go here, you get 3 quests, you got 1, maybe there's 1 here. It just starts to be all over the place, like erratic feeling. This one's a lot less like that, and this one's a lot more like, if you actually just follow main story and do every side quest that pops up, they'll actually all just like work out really well, and it'll actually be really fast. But there's more to it than just that, because there's some stuff that will make you level even faster in this expansion if you keep an eye out for it and you don't waste too much time trying to do it. So the first one of those is you'll randomly get an opportunity to fight some kind of boss-like monster in some of the regions, and as you're going through the main story quests, you'll randomly see these in some of the places you have to go through. And when you see them, they'll be designated by this star icon on the map. And when you see one, you can come over to it and fight it along with anybody else, because experience is shared now, which we'll also talk about some strategies with that in just a second. But you can just go up, and if someone else is fighting it, just hit it a few times. If you want to loot it, go ahead and help them fight it, and then loot it. If you don't care about the loot, just tap it and go, and you'll usually get the XP then. These are first time only for the bonus XP. They still do give a ton of XP. Like if a normal enemy gives 250, they'll give like 2,000. But the first time you beat them, they'll give like a bonus 10,000 or bonus 15,000 XP, which is like a good quest turn-in, or better than a good quest turn-in. So every time you see one as you're leveling, if it's the first time you've seen it, definitely stop by and fight it. And then also you'll have these ones where it will have you it'll want you to defeat a certain number of enemies in a zone. So those usually go well with certain quests in the zone, where you'll need to be fighting like proto drakes or something like that. And then there'll be one of these optional quests that'll be like, just hunt proto drake. So if you combo that with your quest and then kill a few more to finish that off, that'll also basically be a quest turn in, like a good quest turn, like 15,000 XP or something when you first get in. So those are good. Definitely do those while leveling if you want to. I mean, obviously at the end of the day, you do what you want to do, whatever you think is fun for you. But if your goal is just leveling, yeah, you definitely do those as you're going through doing your questing, and you'll level way faster. Another important thing to know about is keep your eye on the map and the mini map, and you'll sometimes see these like weird treasure chest icons as you're going through. And if you notice them, definitely go find them and get them if it's not going to be too much effort. Like, you don't want to waste too much time trying to find them if they're in some really, really weird spot. But sometimes those chests will basically be a quest turn-in. I found one chest and it was like 5,000 XP. One was 2,500 XP. So like if it's already on the way, a lot of times, every time I got one of those chests, it was literally I was on my way to a quest. I see it on the mini map. I go out of my way real fast. In less than 30 seconds, I've run over to grab it. I grab it. I got basically a small quest turn-in. And I just keep going, and it adds up, and it's definitely a nice little XP bump if you grab those as you go. The next thing that you need to know about is dragon riding. So for dragon riding, you actually get it very early on. If you do the main story quest and all the side quests and all the stuff I mentioned, you'll get it around like level 62 or so. There's a city that you go to near Ruby Life Pools in the Waking Shores. And it's part of the main story, so if you want it faster, just skip everything and do main story. But I wouldn't really recommend doing it like that, because it would just make it a confusing mess to go back and do all the random side quests you skipped. But you could do it, and in theory, if you knew what you're doing, it would be faster. But for most of us, it's just going to make it so much more confusing that it's not really worth the effort to do it that way. But either way, once you hit 62, definitely use your Drake all the time because the Drake is so obnoxiously fast compared to a normal mount or anything like that. Plus the verticality of you can fly. Once you have the Drake, you can level so much faster. So definitely do that. Another thing that you need to know about when leveling is that the way that experience works now is if you just tag a mob at all and someone else kills the mob, you'll get XP. So if you're ever on your way to a quest and you see some dude who's like AoE farming a big bunch of mobs, literally get off your mount and just use an AoE to tag all his mobs and then just keep running. Or if you want the loot, stop and help him. But you could though, when you see someone else fighting a mob, just really quick throw a random damage over time on it or something like that, just an insta-cast, and just keep doing what you're doing, and you'll get the XP for that mob. So just as you're running around, you see someone fighting, just tag anything else is tagging. It won't interfere with them at all, but then you'll also get the exact same XP that they're getting, which is just another nice XP boost when you're going, if you keep that in mind while playing. Another thing to keep in mind is that with Dragonflight and Dragon Riding, you have passives and things that you unlock as you get different achievements through the game. So whenever you get these, definitely upgrade them because you can get things like vitality boosts for your dragon and stuff. And vitality is those little icons when you're flying that allow you to go up in the air so you can go back down and get more speed and go up and fly faster and stuff. And those take a long time to recharge. So getting more of those and getting any buffs and passives related to that make it so you can explore and quest even faster. So definitely get those whenever you can. Now, I've still got a few more things to tell you, some tricks and stuff, but first off, reputation gains. So reputation is like a big thing in Dragonflight for different cosmetics and stuff, and even some interesting level 70 armor and a lot of cool things, pets and all sorts of stuff. So if you want to be maximizing your reputation gains as you level, the main thing is to just go ahead and do those side quests. Again, if you really don't want to do them, you can come back and do them later if you want to, but it does make the most sense to just do them as you go and go ahead and get all those faction reps and stuff while doing that. That is like the most efficient way to get your reps as you level. And again, if you're already leveling it the traditional way, it will be generally faster. There are some side quests that kind of suck. It'll be like 1,000 XP only, and they'll only give rep gains. But a lot of the side quests will give like 5,000-10,000 XP and rep gains. So I don't know. It's generally better just to do them all if you're just a casual player. And if you're not a casual player, then you probably have your own like super insane strategy guide of like exact quests to do and stuff. And I think most of you guys watching are trying to do it that insane. All right, so now we got to talk about dungeons and professions. So dungeons generally, like always, are not really worth it. But if you're going to do a dungeon, always do it when you have quests for it. So as you're going through the story, there'll be times for certain dungeons where it'll load you up with like 2 or 3 dungeon quests. And that would be the time to go ahead and do a dungeon with a group finder or whatever. Get those quests done because they give like 20,000 XP. And it'll be, you know, at least close to or maybe a little bit faster than your normal leveling or maybe a little bit slower. But you'll get some random dungeon gear. It'll make your leveling a little bit faster. It'll just mix things up so it'll be a little bit more fun. Because, again, at the end of the day, you want to think about, you know, having fun while leveling unless you're really in a hurry. You couldn't. That's like the only real time that it's worth doing a dungeon while leveling. And then that brings me to the last thing, which is professions. And there are a few strategies with professions. First off, if you want to do it casually, and also if you're like just started a new character, boosted a new character, so you're not committed to a profession already or something, then the best thing to do would be get gathering professions and just get like skinning and herbalism or herbalism and mining or something like that. Because mining, not mining, but gathering professions, just doing them will give you XP. So just as you're going, you know, you see like a mining node, it gives XP. I'm not sure if the skinning one gives XP, actually. I know mining and herbalism do, though. But yeah, so you can just like, oh, I see an herb, you gather it, you get some XP and stuff like that. So that also will boost your XP per hour by a decent amount if you just have those while leveling. But then also, something interesting is that the crafting professions have this interesting thing where for every recipe, the first time that you craft the recipe, it will give you bonus XP. So in my case, for enchanting, the first time I crafted the Writ of Versatility, or did this enchantment, I forget the exact amount, but I think it was like 15 or 20,000 XP or something like that. So, I mean, I've heard about people doing something where on launch, they did the thing of getting a profession, doing all the cheap, easy profession, like all the cheap, easy things real fast, then abandoning the profession, and then doing the same thing for jewel crafting, and then the same thing for alchemy, and then the same thing for tailoring, and then the same thing for leatherworking, and that would give you a giant boost and just immediately get you up a bunch of levels if you want to do it that way. But the catch to that is, if you're doing that on launch of Dragonflight, it's going to be insanely expensive, because right on launch, all these materials are going to be really expensive. If you're watching this video, like, I don't know, a month or two from now, it might not be nearly as bad, because by then the prices will all have hit kind of their baseline lowest amount, you know what I mean? And also, if you're at some point in the future leveling an alt account, it'd be a good strategy, because you're already set up, you have money, you have all these things and stuff. So just like, yeah, sure, you just ship it a bunch of these materials, it gets enchanting, crafts a bunch of enchanting stuff for the first time bonuses, then drops it, goes to tailoring, then leatherworking, then jewel crafting, then inscription, you know, and all that stuff. That is definitely viable if you want to spend the money. It definitely would be a huge boost to XP, but again, that's only if you want to go that route. And if you do want to be hardcore about it like that, by all means, just be aware that you can absolutely do that. But me personally, and I feel like for most of you watching and most of the audience out there, it's really about what is the most fun combined with what's like the most realistic and what's like the fast, like balancing those three things. And if you're doing it like that, I feel like for most players, the questing and just doing main story with side quest, doing any random events, any random bosses that it shows with the scar icon, and finding any random chests that it shows you and stuff, just doing the combination of those things along with some gathering and random crafting and kind of just all over the place, is going to be pretty fast. I mean, you'll literally be able to hit level 70 in like, you know, 15 hours of gameplay or something. Like, it's actually the fastest expansion I've played in recent, I mean, I haven't played many expansions, but it's the fastest that I've played. So I wouldn't worry about it a whole lot for most of you watching. It's only if you're really wanting to be diehard about it. And one last note to leave you with. So I played a few different World of Warcraft expansions, and I do want to say that I was playing this with a friend, and it was pretty darn fun. Like, you know, some classes are going to level faster than others. Some are more fun than others. Priest is honestly horribly slow, at least as a disc priest. And if you level with a friend, it's good now because the way XP gets shared and stuff. And I was leveling with the new Evoker class, which is totally OP, and we're just AoE farming. So that's also, AoE farming is another option and stuff as you're going. That'll speed things up a decent amount. It sped it up for us a lot. But the moral of the story, what I'm trying to say here is, it was actually pretty darn fun, guys. Like, just to do the main quest, the side quests, pick up the random chests I find, fight the random bosses I see, tag random mobs that people are fighting just to get some bonus XP and stuff, do some crafting and gathering while playing. Well, in my case, 2 crafting professions, but yeah, just overall, I'm having a good time. So, like, again, if you're a diehard, you can do everything I said in this video to try to min-max, or you can try to do the profession cheese or something like that. But if you're a casual player like I am when I actually play, it's actually pretty fun. Just go ahead and do the main story, do the side quest, do all the random stuff, and most of you will have a ton of fun. It's actually a pretty good expansion. I'm pretty happy with it. But anyway, so that's my leveling guide. Hope that helps you out. That's like all the tips and tricks that I'm aware of for leveling. That'll get you through. That'll give you all your options. So hopefully after watching this, you have a better idea of the fastest ways to level and what's the most realistic ways to level for you personally in World of Warcraft: The Dragonflight.